Even going to the movies in Germany is quite an adventure. In this video, we're gonna talk about 10 things you should know before you hit the movies in Germany. Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from Simple Germany, where we help you settle into life in Germany more smoothly.
Additional to this YouTube channel, we also run our website, simplegermany.com, where we have written in-depth guides on topics that we don't cover on YouTube. We are pretty sure that they also help you navigate your life in Germany. So check them out.
So let's start this video with some statistics, because we love statistics in this channel, when we can, yeah? So according to the German Federal Film Board, I think I said that right, in 2019, so before all the lockdowns, there were over 1,700 movie theaters registered in Germany.
And in that year, Germans, or people living in Germany, spent 118 million or more, like a little more than 118 million euros just on admissions.
Wow, that is also crazy. I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but what the interesting thing is that 62% of the movies shown in the movie theaters were actually from the US, meaning they were like Hollywood-produced movies.
Exactly.
So Hollywood-produced movies are quite popular in Germany.
Yes, they are. And that's also what Jen, with her list, it's her list, not mine really, is going to focus on. However, I wanted to point out that it is not just US-based Hollywood movies that are watched in Germany, but Germany is actually quite big in indie movies, and indie theaters, like subculture, also from other countries, France, Italy, Russia, Argentina, like pretty much anywhere. Smaller movie theaters usually that will not follow these points that Jen will make, but you will have a different experience there. If you're interested in that, search for your city. Pretty sure you'll find them, and then you already have a crowd also to maybe make friends with.
Yeah, I agree. I have gone also to these movie theaters, and some points will apply. I will point out which ones. But it's true, like I've seen Argentinian movies, Italian movies, and I think even a French movie, and they are an experience in its own. But I think that's a different going to the movies experience and going to like a big, massive cinema to watch Hollywood movies with a massive screen and the technology and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So this list, because I love Hollywood movies as well, it's very Hollywood movie driven. Just a disclaimer. And also another disclaimer is that it's based on my experience in Düsseldorf. I've also been to the movies in Berlin, and we went once to Leipzig, I think, to watch Bohemian Rhapsody, because we were there at that time. And I would say it's a similar experience everywhere, but obviously my points are very heavily influenced by my life in Düsseldorf. If you live in a different city and things are different there, please let me know in the comments below, because I might just consider moving to the city just to be able to go more to the movies. So without further ado, let's start with the list.
All right then.
So point number 1 on my list is that you will need to learn some vocabulary.
Yes, and that is mainly 2 abbreviations. One is OV, standing for original version, which you will usually have like in parentheses behind the movie title. Or also in parentheses, the big O, small m, big U, OMU, standing for...
Oh my God. No, I'm sorry, what?
It's not OMG, it's OMU,
I know, it's
standing for Original mit Untertiteln, so original with subtitles.
Yes. We have a list in the related guide about movies in Germany in simplegermany.com, where you can actually have a list of all the movie theaters.
In the biggest cities.
In the biggest cities like Frankfurt, Berlin, Munich, Düsseldorf, Cologne, where you can find the movie theaters that actually show movies in their original version, because not all movie theaters will do that.
Yes.
So that's a big thing. Number 2 on my list is that most, if not all, animated movies are in German. So I am a huge Pixar fan, and unfortunately all of them are dubbed in German here in Germany.
Which, you know, I guess you would understand them, but you don't want to watch them dubbed.
Yes, of course. I am a big believer that you should watch a movie in their original language, whatever that is. So if it's a German animated movie, of course I want to watch it in German. If it's a Russian one, I would love to watch it in Russian too, as long as there's subtitles, of course. However, if it's a Pixar movie, I would love to watch it in its original language, which is English.
So I believe the reason for that is that animated movies are usually targeted at children, and with that I mean not the adult children that exist,
like me.
you know, but which is a good thing, but like the real children. And obviously children, they learn English in school in Germany, but it's not at that level that would understand the whole story and the whole movie. So that's why they're mainly in German, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy because in Guatemala, actually, these movies are both in Spanish and English. So you can decide whether you also, as a grown-up adult kid, want to go to the English one, or you take your kids to the Spanish or English version.
There you have it.
So that's super interesting, because usually Guatemala sucks in a lot of areas, but in that one, I must say, we're better. Wow. Okay, number 3 on my list has to do with love.
Oh.
And that is because, I don't know if this is normal in other parts of the world, but when you want to book a movie ticket online and you look at the seating plan, a lot of the seating plans have actually a heart on some seats. Why is that?
So they're like the love seats, and they don't have the like the armrest, the divider in between. So it's more like the the romantic kind where you can cuddle together while watching the movie.
Yeah. And so if you're going on a date with someone and that someone books this love seat, that is probably a good sign.
That is an indirect communication.
Yeah, there you go. Number 4 on my list is that I feel like movies are very expensive. Going to the movies is very expensive in Germany. And especially because a lot of movies that are actually in their original, Hollywood movies in their original language, sometimes in some movie theaters they're just in 3D. There's no 2D version, so that obviously adds the cost even more. But I remember going to the movies and sometimes even paying up to 17 euros just to go to the movies.
That happens, and I would say if you want the full experience, you buy the popcorn, you buy a drink, and those are also overpriced, so it really adds up quickly. I must say though that most bigger theaters also have like abos, which is kind of like a permanent member. Where you pay a price per month and then you can go as often as you want. So if you're like a heavy moviegoer, that could be an option. Also, there are like these sneak previews where it's a surprise movie, which are usually at a very cheap price because you don't know what it is, and usually also late at night. So there are options where you can cheapen the price per ticket. The question is whether you want that.
Yes, of course. Like this surprise movie, usually here in Dusseldorf is in this movie theater where every Wednesday for 5 euros you have access to this movie. But again, you don't know what movie it is, right? And sometimes, I mean, I was there a few times and the majority of the times I would say it was an okay-ish movie. So it was more of a waste of my time than actually the 5 euros. In my opinion, at least. So once you're in the movie theater, this is, I think, what the majority of new people in Germany actually are surprised by, is that by default, you get kettle popcorn. This is the sweet popcorn. So popcorn with sugar on it, right? That is like the default. So the big popcorn counter is full of sugary popcorn, or however you call it. And the salted popcorn, you actually have to specifically ask for it.
That is very true. However, I always grew up with eating salted popcorn. So for me, that was always a thing whenever I would go to movies. I used to go more often as a teenager, young adult, I would say, than nowadays. And I would always ask for salziges popcorn. And that would just be a thing. But if you don't do that, yes, you'll get the sweet version.
Yeah. And here I must also clarify that it's generally speaking just salted popcorn, because in Guatemala, I mean, it's also very unhealthy, but there are even stands after you buy your popcorn where you can put butter, like liquid butter on it, to make it even more delicious and super healthy,
of course. Then super greasy.
It's very delicious. Anyway, so continuing with my point number, 5, I believe, is that commercials and previews before the movie is shown, they're like super long, but like super long. And they're always in German, which the commercials, it's fine. Obviously, it's a commercial for a German product that I'm totally fine with. But the previews are also in German for other movies. So the first time this happened, I was super confused because I'm like, wait, I have a movie ticket that says it's for English movie and all the previews are in German. Is the movie gonna be in German? And I was like so nervous for the like 30 minutes that it lasts, right? Because it's like very long. But at the end of the day, the movie was in English. So if you are in that situation, don't worry, wait until the movie starts. And then there are these movies that they, like the introduction is like also another 10 minutes that no one talks and you don't know. It's quite nerve-wracking.
But point being is that previews and commercials usually take 20 to 30 minutes in the big theaters.
Yes, and also to the extent that before the movie starts, you even have a second chance to go get it's called the Eispause, which you have a chance to go out and buy an ice cream, I guess.
Which doesn't always happen.
Yeah, but in the big movie theaters, I would claim it's very common. If you're having fun and liking this video, please remember to hit that like button. That really helps Simple Germany's YouTube channel to grow. Also, if you're not subscribed to our channel, please hit that red big subscribe button at the bottom. And if you want to go the super extra mile, you can always support us in the form of contribution of a virtual coffee at simplegermany.com/coffee. Continuing with the program. Number 7 on my list is that the cool thing is that you can actually drink alcohol in the movies.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So you can actually buy a beer while you're eating your sweet popcorn, buttery popcorn, salted popcorn, or your candy. So I find that super nice. I don't think you can do that in Guatemala.
I mean, I think it goes back to the generally open, that sounds so bad when I say it, but alcoholic culture. That
Let's say alcohol, the general culture of drinking alcohol in public.
Exactly, the general culture that you are allowed to drink alcohol in public. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's super cool. I think in Guatemala you have these like super fancy VIP movie theaters that you actually pay and you have dinner delivered to you. And there I think you can maybe order a beer or something, but it's not super common. Versus here, whatever seat you have, you can drink a beer.
Interesting.
So that's cool. Very interesting, yeah. Number 8 on my list, which the first time this happened, I was like shocked. And I don't know this by heart. I don't know the hard rule about it, but any movie that I think it's beyond 2 hours long, there's a cut. And there's a pausa, a 15-minute break, where apparently you're supposed to stand up and stretch.
Go pee,
recharge. Rebuy your popcorn or beer. And I find that kind of like annoying.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I remember there was this Marvel movie, which I also love Marvel movies, and it was like in the middle of this like very intense scene of like the last fight or something like this, and then suddenly beep, okay, big screen, like blue, I think it says, pausa, the lights turn on, and you're like, what? Oh, okay.
And you're like right in it, and you're like, like emotionally involved, and cut.
And
yeah,
cut.
I really dislike that as well.
And also when you go back, they rewind the movie for like 2 minutes before, and then they start playing. So like, I think the flow kind of gets lost in that sense, you know. Number 9 on my list, and this is maybe a personal observation, is that Germans love to stay until the credits kind of end. Or at least let's say 3 minutes after the movie ended. They really just sit, relax, read the credits.
So
the lights don't turn on.
We went to the movies a few times together. It doesn't happen that often, but a few times. And the very first time that happened, I don't remember what movie it was, but I remember it was like emotionally heavy, like, you know, and it ended, like literally the first credit starts, Jen jumps out of her seat and is like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, what are you doing? Can you please sit down? Like, I need to digest this movie. Like, I need to let it settle and you like feel it, you know, like calm down.
I would say for me, I do the same. However, I do that when I exit the movie theater.
No, but when you exit, it's like so hectic. First of all, it's bright, and all the people, you know, it's like too full. You just stand in line for the bathroom. It's just like there's no time to digest. You need to do that in the comfy seat, in the darkness, with the music still happening.
Oh, okay, I see. And it's true because they don't turn the lights on after like 3 or 4 minutes throughout the credits. And sometimes I get it, and sometimes it's like I just get up and I leave because I mean.
It depends on the movie.
It depends on the movie.
Yeah.
So point number 10 has to do with the movie as well, is that generally speaking for these Hollywood movies in OV, in my experience, the movie theaters tend to be very empty. I guess also maybe this has to do why OV is not so popular and maybe there are not so many Hollywood movies in English. However, I find that kind of like a shame because obviously the movie theater is spending a lot of money on that license. But remembering the time that I had in Guatemala going to the movie theaters, it was like a big event with a lot of people. It was fun, you know. You would laugh together or like shout together. You know, it would be kind of like an emotional experience with the crowd. However, here I feel like you're alone with maybe, I think the maximum I've had in a Hollywood movie, maybe it's been 20 people in the cinema or so. Which is not entirely the case for these indie movies.
Yes.
Because those indie movie theaters tend to be smaller, so obviously 20 people would probably fill the whole movie theater.
No, that's not true. That is not true. But I would say generally if you would go to a German version of a movie, it's fuller. Then again, I think it also highly depends on the movie and the time. So I would say like weekends or Friday evenings are usually more popular. And I remember back in the day when I used to go to the movies in Bonn, like with my parents, we really needed to book the tickets online to secure the good seats or to get a seat at all. And there were lines at the counter and it would be packed. So I would say that might be, like you said, the OV version. Although I also know plenty of Germans that want to watch OV, but just not the majority. I would also agree.
So if you're an avid moviegoer and you actually watch the dubbed German version, can you please answer my question? Is it the same in your movie theater? Is it full with people or is it empty with people? Maybe it could be that people are not going to the movie theaters anymore, which is a shame. Anyways, I know I have complained a lot on this video about the movie theaters and probably one positive point with the beer. However, there's a gazillion other things I love about Germany. Not going to the movies is maybe not one of them. So if you want to know my top 10 things of what I love about living in Germany, make sure to check out the next video. Until next time, cheers!